Well, it's great to be here. This is actually my home union. Columbia Union is my home union. And yeah, I was transplanted to Andrews about 12 years ago, but I worked for quite a while at, some of you remember Griggs International Academy and Griggs University, yay. And went up to Andrews where we have no conflict at all. So that's why I've been invited to come here and talk about conflict, because at Andrews we've solved it. There is no conflict. The Lord has translated all of us. That's not true. It's about as true as the fact that there is no snow in Michigan. So, common causes and strategies for resolving conflict. So let's talk a little bit about what conflict is first. One of the things that's interesting to me is one of the things we know really well as human beings is conflict. You can't be a sister, a brother, a parent, a teacher, a leader, a pastor without having experienced conflict. You can't be married without having experienced some form of conflict. It's just the way it is because we are human beings. And there are a lot of songs written about conflict. One of the ones I remember all the time that runs in my head sometimes during board meetings at Andrews University. Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? We just can't seem to do it. And there are a lot of reasons for it. Personality and power struggles. You saw a little bit of that this morning, even with the disciples, right? Wanting to be who do you love the most, Jesus? Who is the most powerful? Don't you like me better? Kids say that to their parents too, don't they? Mom likes me better than she likes you. And then you get a sock from your brother. I think sometimes my interest in conflict resolution started early in life because I was baptized into the Seventh-day Adventist Church when I was 18. I was in college. And I'm the oldest of 4 kids. And the whole family was baptized at the same time. We were baptized. We thought this was wonderful. We came up out of the water and we thought, oh, we're perfect. We're perfect. I certainly thought I was perfect. And I'll never forget, about 4 weeks after the baptism, my little brother said, Mom, what was the baptism for? And she said, well, it was to show that we love Jesus. We want to become a part of a Christian community. And he said, I thought it was to make Alayne a better person. She's still mean. And, I was. Especially to him. Especially to him. So the baptismal font didn't change the fact that I was the oldest daughter, the oldest family member, and I was going to tell him what he could watch on TV all the time. Personality and power struggles are at the foundation of everything in life. As a matter of fact, if you look at history, the study of history is the study of power struggles. It's the study of conflict. The study of literature, I'm an English teacher. I started as an English teacher. Plot, which is the action in a story, always revolves around conflict. Has to. We're human beings. We sinned, and we are broken. We are broken. All of us are broken. If you're a teacher, you're broken. If you're a sister, you're broken. If you're a pastor, you're broken. We're all broken. And because we're broken, out of our brokenness, we somehow make ourselves feel better by saying, I might be broken, but I'm not as broken as she is. Right? I may be broken, but I'm not as broken as he is. Exactly the wrong thing. Exactly the wrong thing. In our brokenness, we want other people to be broken, more broken than we are. From this brokenness is evident in society through things like discrimination and harassment. And discrimination, all of us have felt it somehow. There's no way that you can live in the United States and not feel some form of discrimination, no matter who you are. Discrimination against Christians, discrimination against women, discrimination against Spanish-speaking people. Just everywhere you turn, there is some sort of discrimination, and it's in the church too. I certainly felt that myself. For many years, I worked in the General Conference, and I would be the only woman on I don't know how many committees. And you feel that, especially when someone says one more time, brethren and cistern. Brethren and cistern, there's a sister here. You remember that, right? You don't forget it. Because we are broken people, we also work in broken organizations. And those broken organizations can help to create conflict for all of us by doing things like not telling us exactly what we're supposed to do, not giving us a good job description, by resource problems. So we only have a limited number, funding here, so we're going to give the funding over here and we're not going to give it there. Resource allocation, and one that was mentioned earlier today, organizational change, are all big reasons for conflict in a workplace, in a church, in a school. But probably at the baseline of all of the, especially organizational conflict, are communication issues and lack of transparency. Not talking to people. Not having respect. Not wanting to, because remember, communication means going into community with people by talking to them, by showing respect for their intelligence, by letting them know, we had a big problem, we have a big problem with our budget, and we're going to have to work on that. Can you give us some ideas of how to work on that? We want to invite you to communicate with us. Because we are humans, we are not really able to solve all of these conflict issues ourselves, neither in our organization nor between our sisters and our brothers. So what do we do? What do we do? I'm not here today to really give you a graduate class in conflict resolution, although I would invite all of you to come to Andrews University and come into our PhD in leadership program, and we can give you those things. No, I'm here to talk to you about one big way that we can get rid of conflict. If I look at you now, I look at you from my eyes. I see you. Maybe I see someone who is 17, I see someone who is 28, I see someone who is 25, I see someone who has a master's degree or a PhD, or someone who has a high school diploma. And I make a judgment based on that. As leaders, God calls on us to do something bigger and better. This is one of my favorite passages for leaders. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. The second is this: love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. I am not supposed to, as a leader, see you through my eyes. I am not supposed to see you through my own brokenness. I am supposed to see you through the eyes of the person who makes us whole. I am called to see you through the eyes of Jesus Christ. And each one of you is infinitely precious to him. Each member of our church is infinitely precious to him. Each member in my classroom is infinitely precious to him. Even the students I don't like. And believe me, there have been some I have not liked. But they were all infinitely precious to God. So, what are we supposed to do to resolve conflict? This is a terrific quote from Martin Luther King. Man must evolve for all human conflict a method which rejects revenge, aggression, and retaliation. The foundation of such a method is love. The foundation of such a method is love. When we talk about conflict resolution, we talk actually about two things usually: reconciliation and mediation. And for any Christian, those two words are pretty Familiar, aren't they? Reconciliation and mediation. Reconciliation means what to us as Christians? It means salvation, doesn't it? It means being reconciled, that the sacrifice of Jesus Christ is enough to reconcile us to God. And who is the mediator between us and God? Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Any leader, any Christian leader is called upon to walk in the steps of Jesus Christ, to look at all the people he or she is responsible for through the eyes of Jesus Christ, and to build a foundation for conflict resolution that's built on love. So how do you do that? Well, actually, the Bible has a lot of guidance for that. Conflict resolution strategies. Some of these things will sound very familiar to you. Begin by seeking wisdom by building a framework of prayer. Never think that you can solve a conflict on your own. You can't. And make sure that the prayer is not just you praying, that you engage the people involved in the conflict in the prayer too, that you are all praying together, and that you're not praying a prayer like this, which I've prayed a couple of times and is very wrong, so I want you to learn from me. Oh Lord, help these students understand the important lesson I have to share with them today. No. I should have been praying, oh Lord, help me see what these students need. Amen. Help me know who these students are. Seek peace. Sometimes tempers flare. As the leader or a teacher, one of the first things I had to learn in a classroom, and actually even in tense situations, you cannot show anger. You have to be a peacemaker. And that is hard. Because sometimes you feel like your anger is wonderfully righteous. I have righteous anger, and I want to spew it all over you. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Yelling and screaming doesn't do anything. That doesn't mean you don't stand up for what is right, but you do it with love. You do it with care. You do it looking through the eyes of Jesus Christ and remembering your own brokenness. Remembering your own brokenness. The second thing you have to do as a leader who wants to resolve some conflicts is listen. Listen. We don't do enough of that as leaders. I certainly didn't do enough of that. One of the first lessons I learned as a teacher is that I needed to learn to listen to my students. And I wasn't good at that. As a matter of fact, I had a mentor teacher who told me, Alayne, you're never going to be a good teacher if you love Charles Dickens more than you love your students. You're just not going to be good. You have to love your students and you have to listen to them. You have to love your church members and you have to listen to them. And if they're not talking to you, you have to find a way to talk to them. I had a pastor once. When my father died, I was very angry at the church. I was very angry at everybody. And I had a pastor who came over to visit me, and he sat there. And I didn't want to talk to him. I was very upset, but I was being polite. My mother taught me to be polite. And he was sitting there, and I expected him to pray for me, and I had something I was ready to say, and he didn't pray for me. He said, it's hot in here. I think I can fix your air conditioner. So he took off his jacket, and he fixed the air conditioner for me, and then he looked at me, and he said, I want you to talk to me, and I want you to know I'm here until you do. I might leave today, but I'm coming back because I want you to talk to me. And I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you who you should be, but I want you to tell me what you want and what's going on with you. So you have to invest time. And you have to know the people you're leading. This is another one that can be pretty hard. Forgive one another. I don't know about you, but sometimes coworkers really get under my skin. Especially ones who you know are gossiping or running behind your back or doing something. You're just sure that they are. Well, we're called upon to forgive them too. If Jesus could forgive me, I think about that a lot. And all the mistakes I've made, my own brokenness again. I can forgive the woman in the cubicle next door who told everybody I dye my hair. So I don't. No. You have to embrace forgiveness, not just practice it. You have to embrace it, which is even harder. Reconciliation. This is one that's hard too, because it means that we actually have to practice some of the other things we talked about, which is forgiveness and talking to someone. Sometimes you're afraid to talk to the person who's offended you, when actually that's the person you need to talk to first. Don't go and complain to the pastor. Don't go and complain to your colleague. Don't go and complain to the dean down the road. Go and talk to the person who offended you. If you have a problem with a church member, if you have a problem with a pastor down the road, go and talk to them first. The Bible tells us to do that. We know that we should be doing that, and it can be hard, but it's necessary. Humility. Now, for me, this has always been hard, as you can probably tell from the story about my brother. I have never been very humble. But I've also learned that I have only so much energy. And if I spend all of my energy on my own greatness, it leaves me no time to think about the greatness of others. And like you heard earlier today, you are blessed more by uplifting others than you are by screaming how great you are. If you can reach out and help somebody up, you are lifted up yourself. There is no question about that. This one is also not easy, overcoming evil with good. If someone does something to you which is hard for you to take, respond with kindness and a positive attitude. Again, that does not mean that you let people walk all over you or you don't point out something that is wrong. You point out something that is wrong, but you do it again with love and kindness, and if you're humble enough, maybe even a willingness to say that I don't understand exactly what's going on here. Can you tell me? So, how do we deal with conflict? We have to replace our brokenness. We have to replace our ego. We have to replace our selfishness with the love, the unity, and the salvation of Jesus Christ. And we have to remember that everyone we work with, everyone whose lives we touch, he loves just as much as he loves us.